everybody. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe right here to get the latest from the show and check out more of the best clips from Up and Adams, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FanDuel. My next guest, the manager and editor-in-chief of Blog and the Boys, covering all things Dallas Cowboys, and RJ Ochoa, we love you. Welcome to the show. You are a staple here on the program. We got news about Schotty. He was doing a little reorg in the locker room, little feng shui. I got to meet and hang with Schotty a little bit at the owner meetings like a month ago. I guess I'd like to know, what is the method to Schotty's madness from what you're picking up?
Well, it's great to be with you, Kay. I think that it's easy to forget the good qualities that are associated with Brian Schottenheimer's father being one of the greatest NFL coaches in all of history. And I think, we talk about that relative to players like Patrick Mahomes and how he grew up in the clubhouse and stuff like that. And it's very clear that Schotty has been, taking notes about how he would do this. I take that at full face value, that he is implementing his program, his regime, his et cetera, the exact way he has been envisioning doing so for 20, 30 years at this point, trying to emulate what his father did, but also trying to apply the Brian twist. And to be quite honest, I think he's passing with flying colors right now, which is not what a lot of people expected. I
do think that it's a funny juxtaposition, because the Cowboys have the most pressure on them in so many ways. He's got pedigree. He's been around, like all of that's, to live up to. But I still think he's going as the most underrated, under-talked about head coach in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, think about the last people who have been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It's not a long list because of how long Jason Garrett held the job. But even when Garrett got the job, there was a lot of, pre-Sean McVay type of hype. He was the young wonderkind. And then Mike McCarthy comes in, and he's the Super Bowl winner who won the game in that building. Even before Garrett, you had Wade Phillips, who was this, long tenured, name in the NFL, obviously a legacy name himself, and Bill Parcells. So Brian Schottenheimer, to your point, it is strange that he has all of that going on, but it is in a bit of a humble way. And I would offer some of that was the kind of chaotic nature in which it all unfolded, but with how they held on to McCarthy for the week and how he just kind of came out of nowhere.
I like this for him. I think it's important that it is this way, and I think it's going to work to his advantage. I love this for him and hope it doesn't change. There were some changes made, with the Cowboys. Somewhat more moves, somewhat things happen. What happened to this? I thought 2 big trades were happening. What happened there?
Well, the rumor was that George Pickens was a name they checked in on, and maybe they just didn't feel like it was totally worth it. They obviously didn't draft a receiver, and that remains an issue. I would be shocked if they go to training camp with the roster the way it is. I would also offer, and you know this better than anyone, Kay, you do have to have a bit of a translator when it comes to Jerry Jones speak, and you have to be willing to not take everything he's saying. There is a lot of truth, obviously, in what he says. But I think their draft is pretty indicative of they didn't force an issue relative to the draft. And I think that probably held true relative to trades. If the right opportunity was there, they were going to pounce. They did trade for 3 veterans this offseason as a whole.
Who should they add? We have a minute left. Who should they add?
The name that everybody wants is Amari Cooper. And if they were to do it, it would not only be awesome from a football standpoint, but I think this has been kind of a remodel sort of offseason from an image standpoint for the front office. Okay. And if they were to bring Amari back, it would really suggest that they're able to swallow some pride. I mean, everybody knows that trade was horrible and it just blew up in their face. And so Keenan Allen, obviously Chris Harris mentioned him, would be a great name as well. But Amari, I think, has the inside track for people just because it would prove, hey, hands up, you got us. We were wrong. You were right. We're ugly. You're beautiful. Let's bring Amari back and let's pretend the last few years never happened.
It's interesting. It buys some trust back with the fan base, which is important for this fan base. That's very interesting. And Chris Harris did mention Amari and epic battles that he's had with him too. He said, don't forget about Amari. I don't even think he knows that he's a free agent and still available. I would love to see that. RJ, thank you so much. I'm looking at the win total, 7.5.
Look, take the over. Last year was chaos for the Cowboys, and a lot of it, in fact, all of it was self-induced. But look at Dak Prescott's career. You can think what you want about him. He's not a quarterback who plays for a team that has 7 wins, generally speaking. So that's some pretty easy money in my estimation.
You think Brock Purdy will make more money than him?
I think our good friend Rob Stats Guerrero will freak out. I think he put on a brave face for you. But I think that's the market.
I set up a little trap and I put a little cheese, and I thought he was gonna And he'd freak out that I've heard that someone has told me that over a drink somewhere, and like that didn't happen. I really thought that was going to send him. I think he's in denial.
If he makes it, so what? That's the market. Like so what if it's 60? It'll be 70 at some point. So that's just life. You have to accept it.
People are freaking out about 50, which I thought was absolutely insane. Okay, thank you so much, RJ. We do have a couple minutes here if you wanted to, like, I'm going to ask you the same question. Tough one for Stats, tough one for you. Like, what's the thing that we should be talking about or the thing you're most curious about?
I think it's Brian Schottenheimer, to your point. I think that, the night he was hired, and it was a Friday night at 9:00 when that news dropped, which was very anti-Cowboys. It really felt almost shameful. I mean, it really felt like they were trying to bury this and so that nobody could ever know about it. But I really do. Look, I'm a Cowboys fan. I want them to succeed, but I would like to think that I have a track record for being objective about this team. But he really has, I think he's working on creating a culture. And you look at their draft class, and these things sound cliche, but they're taking team captains and leaders. And your interview with Tyler Booker was awesome. I mean, like dudes like that can really rally a room. Right. And so that is somewhat reminiscent of the Jason Garrett days. We can talk about how big of a failure that was, but they were competitive for an entire decade. And so it seems like the Cowboys have understood and established, okay, we did all of these things for the last 15 years, and they had us really, really, really close. We didn't get where we wanted to go, but let's get back to doing some of those things. And in a weird way, Brian Schottenheimer, might have accidentally, haphazardly been the perfect candidate for that. And they may have realized that, or they may have lucked into it. But I do think, he's the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and how many people talk about him on a daily basis. And he's an NFL legacy. It's a strange thing, the level of fame and notoriety he carries and the position he holds, and how quietly he's kind of gone about his business.
Again, I like it for him. I don't like the division for him for this timing. I think you're saying 10, 15 years, like, well, you had your chance there with the rest of the division struggle McGee. And now they are tough and getting tougher. And it's going to be a tough thing to climb up from. Okay, we appreciate you. RJ, of course, as always, thank you for always getting my stuff out there. Like, if I could hire you, I would. Like, oh my goodness. Like, you are always tweeting stuff when Cowboys and stuff come on. So thank you. RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com is where to go. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Kay.